Hello, everyone. Today is November 15th, 2020, and I would like to do another video and explain a little more about energy, sex energy, and what is happening within the Luciferian agenda that has been unleashed on Western society. So the last few videos I did talk about the Luciferian agenda. I also posted a blog on it on my website, endinggloballoneliness.com. I am not here to criticize us or put us down or make us feel bad about the situation that we call our society. But if we don't start to recognize the aspects of it that are harmful, it is going to continue to spiral downward until we have no morality left and we have nothing but a free-for-all by the renegade personality types, the Luciferian personality types, the satanic personality types in our society. And if we start to understand our true nature, the true nature of energy, our sex energy, I think we can start to not fall for as many things as we have. So, what I know I've said this before, what we all have in common in the Western society, it doesn't matter. We tend to have three tiers of government: a federal, a state, or a provincial, and then we have municipalities, counties, territories. So all the government structures are the same in all of these countries, and that's why they can use these structures to get away with the abuses that they impose on the people, because it is designed that way. And when we understand the system is designed by pedophiles, Satanists, Luciferianists, or Luciferianism, we understand then that the intention of how this is set up is not going to benefit the people whatsoever. And it does not mean everybody in government is bad. I'm not saying that at all. But it seems that the ones who are making the policies right now that are absolutely insane, their morality can be put into question about this. So if you want to control the minds of a person, where do you go? You go to control their thoughts. You go to control what processes they use for learning. And the majority of those processes would be the education system, the indoctrination centers, and it would be through media. So I want to talk about how this came about, and I'm sure this isn't the beginning of it, but I want to talk a bit about Alice Bailey. Alice Bailey was a woman she was born in the 1800s, and she died in the middle of the 20th century, I think 1949 or something around that time. And she set up the agenda to destroy the heart and soul of humanity. And I know some people say that this is a 10-point charter to destroy Christianity. I think it's beyond that. I think she is here to destroy humanity. What her 10 points were, I'm going to maybe back up for a second, but I'm going to say some things that are going to be difficult to hear. And if you're not sure if you can handle it, don't watch it right now. Just shut it off. If you can watch part of it, then watch up to the point that makes you uncomfortable and hit pause and take a break. Sometimes this information is hard to hear. And what I found, if it was hard for me to hear, or if it triggered something when I was learning this, I learned, maybe not quickly enough, but I learned relatively quickly to ask myself, why am I triggering? What is it about this information that's setting me off? And then I'd watch my body and watch for my answer. And sometimes I triggered so bad, I had to tell my trigger to get out until I could handle it, because I wasn't sure what steps to take to handle it. Now, I'll deal with that another time. So if you're going to be triggered, trust yourself, step away, ask yourself why you're triggering. Write it down if you need to, and if nothing else, tell your trigger to get out, because all it is a dark energy and attachment on you. So I'm going to go back and talk about the 10-point charter by Alice Bailey. And her first one was take God and prayer out of the education system. We can put a check mark beside that. Reduce parental authority over the children, check mark. Destroy the Judeo-Christian family structure, or the traditional family structure. That's well underway. If sex is free, then make abortion legal and make it easy. And with the late-term abortions and the people who are absolutely been convinced that abortion is your right, I'd say we put a check mark beside that one as well. Make divorce easy and legal. Free people from the concept of marriage for life. Make homosexuality an alternative lifestyle. And I'm really going to come back on the sexual aspects of this. Debase art, make it run mad. If anyone has seen the Podesta art collection, you can see that gets a check mark. Use media to promote and change mindsets. We're seeing it happen right now with the absolute lies being told by media personalities, whether it's over elections, whether it's over, I'm even going to say that the reports that they give, the financial reports, they are all lying to get people to believe a certain thing. That's why it's called a psyop. That's what that whole television, the story, the lie, television is about, is to convince people to believe what is not true is true, or vice versa. Get governments to make all these law and get the church to endorse these changes. Well, we've seen the churches right now that are not standing up to bring their congregations back in with the COVID. We're seeing the churches, especially the Catholic Church, stand up and endorse the LGBT program. And some people might say, oh, I'm being a bigot or a homophobe or whatever. You're teaching children, 12-year-olds, how to let somebody fuck them up the ass in the name of sexual diversity. So I'm not coming at this from a standpoint of LBGT and who gets to say, who gets to enjoy what sexual positions. I'm coming at it from this is child sex abuse. So that's the only stance I'm taking as I talk about this. It took me a bit to figure out how I was going to present this today because it's not an easy topic. But what I want to talk about is how all of this is being rolled out right now in front of our very eyes. And I live in Ontario, Canada, and I think we are the most pedophilic, one of the most pedophilic countries in the world. We do such a great job hiding this fact by telling everybody that, oh, everybody loves Canadians, that people don't really see what's going on behind the scenes. It doesn't mean every Canadian's bad. I don't believe that, not for a minute. But I think there's enough bad ones in here making choices, and they get to control all aspects of the information that people get. And that's what's keeping people in the dark and keeping people not knowing. How do you know what's right if you haven't been given all the information? How do you know it's the right thing to do? And I watch emotions get shamed and people be shamed because they don't go along with the LBGT. They don't think 10-year-olds need to be taught about lube. And when you look at the over-the-counter lubes, many of them have parabens and cancer-causing ingredients in them. They have carcinogens in them, and you're going to encourage little kids to stick that in their orifice. I just find that I can't believe I'm the one saying this stuff, that somebody else, a so-called expert, hasn't figured this out and called it out at this time. So what I want to talk about is I'm going to talk a bit about bioenergy and sex energy. What sex energy is, people get really confused about sex energy and assume it has to do with sex, the mechanics of sex, fucking whatever you want to call it. And that's not it. Bioenergy is life force energy. Sex energy is life force energy. Humans are creative beings. And when we create, that is the power that nothing else can touch us on this planet and beyond. But we forgot how to use our creative energy. And we're starting to realize the Luciferian agenda. We're hearing about the black magic. That's why they're doing all these sex rituals on people and on children. They're stealing the energy to make their own manifestation come through and come true. And because we don't understand it, we don't stop it. We've all been shamed that we don't want to talk about, oh, we don't want to say that somebody else's sexual preferences are bad or not appropriate, because heaven forbid, if we found out how powerful sex energy is, that we could say, why are you wasting it? And that's what I want to talk more about, is wasting the sex energy. So this is Bioenergy and Sex by Walter Lass, just information from him, Healing with Sex Energy. So I'm just going to read a little bit just to give you an idea. So it's not just coming from me, it's not just my opinion. Sexuality and the various benefits resulting from non-orgasmic sex can only be understood in the context of bioenergy or life force, also called prana, chi, ki, organ, or od. We may see it as the innermost aura around living objects, or feel it as heat or tingling in our body, especially when transferring energy, as with the laying on the hands, Reiki, or most strongly during orgasm. This energy circulates in our acupressure meridian system, and its vortexes form our chakra system. And the Western education system has everybody convinced that we're all genetic beings. Genetics, I tested, I think we're about 3 to 5% genetic. The rest of it is consciousness. And this is what they don't want us to know, because when we really get a sense of how we operate energetically, etherically, emotionally, and spiritually, we can start creating different realities and give them more power when we understand how our energy works. So this energy circulates in our acupressure meridian system, and its vortexes form our chakra system. It is at the base of paranormal or psychic phenomena. It is also the healing agent of many natural therapies. While bioenergy is still unknown known to orthodox science, except in astrophysics where it's called dark energy, it figures, they've manipulated that. It is an everyday experience of many sensitive individuals. Sexual energy is highest in virgin teenagers, where related electrical activity can lead to static and interference with electric and electronic equipment. Why do you think they want the sex ed curriculum, the kids having sex and learning about that at age 12? They understand how important this energy is. And when they talk about virgin teenagers, usually it's before they hit puberty, because when humans hit puberty, their energy systems change. They lose all that childish energy that they had. It just starts to reduce a little bit. So they know that they want kids having sex at 12 because they want to be able to harvest that energy from these children. And it's just it's evil is what it is. As living organisms are a dynamic bioenergy system, our health and energy rely on strong flow of bioenergy into the chakra system. From there, the energy flows through the acupressure system to all the organs and tissues, and any surplus flows out to the etheric aura around the body. The sex chakra is our strongest bioenergy generator. What is more powerful than being able to create a life between a male and a female that you biologically, naturally already programmed? You have it in you to be able to create a life, to create another beautiful human being. That is our powerful energy center. And that's why they're so focused on sex. Everything is sex. Advertising is sex. Mattel and toys are sex. Everything is sex right now. And they are harvesting our energy if we don't know how to protect it. The sex chakra is our strongest bioenergy generator. In addition to providing a moderate stream of energy into the base chakra and then up the spine into the brain, it also keeps the production of our sex hormones going. If this energy generator becomes weak, then we lack vitality and may be close to a disease or to old age. And this is also why they want sodomy and they're pushing the homosexuality, because when you're sending the energy up a child's rectum, that is throwing off their whole energy center, going up into the base of their spine, into the base of their, or to the top of their spine, in the base of their skull. And this, because it's not meant to happen, is often what helps fragment that child's soul from their body. Now, I'm not a fan of cognitive sciences, and it doesn't mean that there aren't good people within the cognitive sciences, but the science, as taught in each of its own discipline, is anti-soul. They don't take the soul into consideration in the person. So how can they understand the sex energy, the life force energy, if they're not even taking a full picture of what a human is, what our energies are, what our sex energy is? At some point, we have to wonder why Men's Health magazine wants you having 28 orgasms in 28 days, and that's an article they had posted. It was a while ago on Twitter. Why? So start understanding why they want you masturbating, whacking off, and losing your energy. Why do they want to do this to children? And when we start to understand how powerful our energy is, it's going to make us maybe see ourselves in a different light. So when it says that if this generator becomes weak, then we lack vitality and maybe close to a disease. So isn't that interesting? Life force energy is what brings on disease or old age. The problem now is this: if we let this energy generator deteriorate through poor nutrition or by blocking the flow of sexual energy, then our overall energy level deteriorates. If, on the other hand, we frequently use it with orgasmic sex, then we lose an inappropriate amount of bioenergy, again resulting in a low energy level, in addition to the negative effects of strong hormone fluctuations. So they don't teach us about hormones. They don't want you understanding the love hormone oxytocin is designed to help bring healing into the body. They don't want anybody understanding that. And in fact, pharma has come out with a drug called oxytocin, which is an anagram, Oxycontin, which is an anagram on oxytocin, giving you the fake bliss pill instead of being able to feel it for yourself. So when we understand how powerful sex is, and I'm going to take some heat for this, I don't even know if I'm going to turn the comment section on. I've had so many, I don't know what word to describe it, comments about this when I was trying to say, wait a minute, what are you teaching the sex ed curriculum? I'd have people come out of the woodwork and just say, really uneducated, low-base human beings, thinking it's their right to be able just to go and have sex with whoever they want. I had a father one time tell me, it was a story in the news that a teacher, a 24-year-old a teacher had sex with her 14-year-old student. And this man came out and said, but boy, wouldn't that be his dream? And so this is where it gives us an opportunity. Do you want your children marrying into a family where that's their sexual standards? So I'm not even sure if I'm going to turn the comments on. I'm not sure if I'm even going to post this. But anyways, I'm going to keep going through. Okay, the logical solution is sufficient use or stimulation of our sex energy, but without discharging it, without creating an energy blockage. And this is what child sex abuse does. Because if the child, even if, so maybe not if the child was groomed to enjoy it, but if the child was abused, they're going to know on some level that's wrong. And what that does, it does like a break stand on your nervous system. So it feels good because your sex organs don't have a brain of their own. You can't shut it off with your head. You can't shut that off. And so if it's getting stimulated, it might feel good, even if it's a violent attack. And this is what people don't understand. And there's nobody in the mental health field who's going to tell the public this. They don't want you to know because they need patience or they don't have a practice. So this is why this crime is such a personally, it's the most intimately violent crime you can commit on another human being. And it is definitely when you do this to a child, because even children before they hit puberty, they don't even understand how their sexuality works. They don't even know what's happening. And the orgasm is what lights up your whole body. It is the most intense biological feeling you can have. And they don't understand that. And then usually the abuser says, well, you liked it, didn't you? And shames them. And this is what destroys relationships, because they cannot go into a healthy relationship without clearing that. So this is really evil. And you think they don't know that? That's why sexual assault is used as a weapon of war. You think they don't know that if you go into a country and you rape the women and you rape the children, that it's not going to only destroy them, it's going to destroy the father or the husband. You think it's not going to interfere with that? And people say, oh, get over it. You should be supportive no matter what. Why don't we stop doing it? Why don't we understand how ugly sexual assault is and stop doing it, so that we don't have to keep treating people to get over this and get over their childhoods? And again, where are the experts to tell anybody all of this? And that's part of what I find, it's part of what motivates me, because why are we paying them to be the ones who don't get it right? And yet child sex abuse is the cornerstone of Western society. Without it, we don't have sick people. We don't need the medical community as much. We don't need the mental health community as much. We might not have as many problems in relationships, so you don't need the police as much. You don't need law enforcement. You don't need the courts. Well, then there goes your system. And this is the system. Ideally, we produce a high amount of sexual energy and then channel it into the chakra and acupressure system to keep us young and healthy. This model lets us understand the frequent claims of practitioners of Tao, the method of lovemaking, as it is amazing health and rejuvenating effects that have been experienced. So there's, I'm not saying don't have sex. I'm saying there's a way to do it that is supposed to be healthy. But when we understand how important this is, maybe we need to stop having victims first, so we can kind of create a bridge and let people maybe start exploring this a little more on their own, to make sure that they are making sure the children aren't in a position where they're being sexually exploited, where they're being groomed through the education system, anal and oral sex at 12. I can't imagine these educators think that they are within their right to talk to any child about sex. This is the absolute narcissism and sociopathy of the people who work in the system, who think they are more entitled to be human or to give advice on such an intimate topic. And I think I'm going to come up with a bit of maybe a questionnaire that we start asking some of these teachers to see what they know about life and love before they can turn around and start talking about the mechanics of sex, the mechanics of fucking, because all of that curriculum does, that's all it talks about. It doesn't talk about how to have a healthy relationship. It does not talk about how to how to have a healthy relationship with yourself, how to create your own self-esteem, how to set boundaries. It does not tell you how to set priorities, how to identify with values. It doesn't tell you any of that. It just tells you the mechanics of sex. Well, who would benefit from that except for pedophiles, sex offenders, the people who get paid to treat patients in this. And I've gone to a lot of different meetings within the local communities of maybe sexual assault centers. And politicians always promise them all kinds of money, but what they've said is they never deliver on it. That's just a photo op for the public to think that everything is normal. And it is anything but normal. So what the sex ed curriculum doesn't talk about is the loving relationships. It doesn't talk about how important our hormones are, whether it's adrenaline that is created by fear, whether it's oxytocin, the love hormone, or how that is generated in our bodies and when that's generated. And I'm of the belief that oxytocin is generated more so in women than in men, because we're more aligned with our emotions naturally than men are. And it's not a judgment. Men tend to be more the physical, the intellectual, the thinker side. Females tend to be more of the heart-centered, the loving, the kind, the spontaneous, the creative side, the joy, the happiness, the love. But we need both of those, but we need to understand how the hormones interfere with us. And so many people are in fear, especially with this COVID insanity going on, that they're in such fear that you can't rise to feel the oxytocin. So I'm going to go through and explain what the oxytocin does for our body, and then you can see why they want us in lockdown. The last thing our governments want are people connecting, loving, having loving, healthy, connected relationships. They don't want healthy men and women making love and creating from a place of love. As you can tell by Dr. Tam's use of glory hole, masturbate, and wear a mask when kissing, right? So we have to understand, I don't care whether Dr. Tam knows this or she's like, whether she's evil or he's evil or just really stupid. I honestly don't care. What they're trying to do is use fear to keep people from connecting in their biological form. So, okay, so I'm going to talk about what oxytocin does and why. I can give examples of how it's shared. Frequent hugs between partners is associated with low blood pressure and more oxytocin. Don't go touching, social distancing. Touch and psychological support are health promoting due to increased oxytocin. So all the services that are non-essential are maybe massage or energy work or connecting emotionally or going out for meals and breaking bread and sharing laughter and joy and happiness. So this is all intentional. This is what this COVID is all about. Oxytocin strongly protects organs from damage due to blood infection. Kissing may have positive implications in those with allergies. Oxytocin speeds wound healing and reduces pain. Oxytocin counters addiction and soothes withdrawal symptoms. Massage aids detoxification for alcohol. Oxytocin rises during massage. Oxytocin positively affects health and counteracts stress. How many people are stressed out, not sure if the person beside them is going to give them a disease that there's a 99% survival rate for, heaven forbid. Oxytocin reduces anxiety and stress. Less oxytocin results in more aggression and less caring. Oxytocin regulates cell proliferation and inhibits breast and prostate cancer, which breast, you think for women, is in front of our heart. That's an interesting point. Oxytocin increases the receptivity of females. Oxytocin imbalance may underlie impotence and alleviate erectile dysfunction. Patients with autism and psychiatric disorders improve with increased oxytocin levels with more love. Oxytocin involved in learning and memory. So oxytocin is the love hormone, and the 2 times that's created is when women make love with a partner they love. When they're making love, oxytocin is released. And that's why women should not be encouraged to be having sex with multiple partners. And it's why you're hooking up with assholes, because you love them. But it's only your hormones talking. And if you can't stay in charge of your hormones, that can make you think that you're going to change him, or you love him no matter what, and let you reduce your standards for yourself. And that's not how it's designed. And that's why you wait. That's the purpose of courtship. To see if the person you're with, if that person's worthy, if they're trustworthy. You will find out over time if they are, then look at the relationship. And I know there's people who are going to lose their crap over this and give me the exceptions to the rules. I'm sure there are exceptions to the rules, but it's not the majority of the cases. The other time that oxytocin is released is when the mother is giving birth and as the baby passes through the birth canal. And that's why they want everybody having C-sections, because you're losing the opportunity to bond hormonally with your child. You think they don't know this? You think the medical community doesn't know this? When a baby is born, they have the placenta. So a lot of people think the placenta is, the umbilical cord is attached to the mother. It's not. It's attached to the placenta, which has information in it, and it has the nutrients that the baby needs. What happens when a baby is born? They cut that off right off the bat. They wipe the film on their eyes. They wipe their eyes. I'm not sure if they're giving injections, giving vaccinations right now. What is wrong with our medical system? And what did Doug Ford do? He took funding away from the birthing doulas, their school that teaches the birthing doulas. He took the funding away from that this year. You think they don't know what's going on? So I'm not going to go into too much more of this today. I just want people to get an idea that maybe you should be a little ticked off, but when you find out what is supposed to be the beauty of the sex energy, and I'm going to go into a whole different, I'm going to go into a series of this, but I want to go through and just let you know that the people in charge understand the importance of sex energy, because all the things that are happening, all the things that were happening with the sex ed curriculum, all the Lucifarianism that is designed to destroy the heart and soul of humanity is all coming to a head. And yes, in the elections, there's people who are understanding the corruption and they're following it. They're getting so much evidence together and affidavits about the corruption in the election, and it doesn't matter what party you wanted to win. It is irrelevant. It should matter that whoever wins, honestly, the integrity needs to be brought back to the system. But while this is happening, we can do other things. And we can understand our sex energy, we can understand our life force energy, we can understand how to bring in higher consciousness, we can protect different generations while this is happening as we're learning for ourselves. We can understand and foresee why this sex curriculum is bad for children. So I'm going to go through and just give some information that how we know that the system is aware of how powerful our sex energy is. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, I think it was last year or the year before, announced that he wants to lower the age of anal sex. I think he wants to lower it to 16, because that's what progressive leaders do. Well, I think by now there's enough people who understand he's a homosexual, so that makes you wonder what he wants to accomplish by lowering that. But we need to start asking these questions. Why are they not teaching children to honor their sexual bodies, and wait for the right partner, and show them how beautiful, loving, intimate sex can be? Not show them, remind them that it can be, but wait for when the time is right. So a lot of universities have been tied to sex abuse scandals. We're looking at the universities right now with all the mind control. The CIA has infiltrated the universities. And the one that comes to mind is the Kinsey Institute. And the Kinsey Institute is run out of the University of Indiana. If anybody has not looked up Alfred Kinsey, you need to look up his work and see just how sick and tormented this guy is. So this is something, table 34. What they would do with the children, they had hired like 200 and some odd pedophiles, 208 pedophiles to come in and see how many orgasms they could make males have in a certain frame of time. And they actually recorded this information. So this is just one. So this might be one, if you're not sure, you wanna maybe pause, go take a break before you come back to it, or maybe you don't wanna watch the rest of this, and that's fine too. But we need to understand how sick this is. So what they did, they took examples of multiple orgasm in pre-adolescence, so this is pre-puberty, males, and it says on the chart some instances of higher frequency. So they showed the age. The ages range from 5 months to 14 years in this chart. So the 5-month-old, 3 orgasms, but they didn't give the time frame. 11 months, 10 orgasms in 1 hour. And if anybody understands what an orgasm feels like, and you tell me that a 10-month-old, that would make sense to do that. 10 orgasms in 1 hour. So that's what? 1 every 6 minutes? And you tell me these people, sexologists, you tell me the people who work in family and children services, you tell me that because there's so much sex abuse that goes on there, you tell me the people who work in mental health, you tell me the people who work in the humanities don't know this. Then why are we fueling this system by paying their salaries? Why are we not finding a better system? It says another one, 11 months old, 14 orgasms in 38 minutes. I think the worst one, 4-year-old, 26 orgasms in 24 hours. These people can't do it just on their own. They have to have nursing staff there. They have to have admin staff there. There's a lot of people who understand what's going on. Why are these people not in jail? And instead they get funding. Who are they getting funding from? They had a 10-year-old, 14 orgasms in 24 hours. Can you imagine the pain and the suffering and the absolute exhaustion of your nervous system for doing this? And nobody went to jail for this. And this is what's based on a lot of the sex ed curriculum is based on the work that happened at the Alfred Kinsey Institute. 13-year-old, 26 orgasms in 24 minutes. So you imagine they're gonna have to pin these children down. And how is this not child sex abuse? So this is what's in our university in Indiana at the Kinsey Institute. In 2013, they had 2 incidents in Canadian universities, one out in BC and one in Halifax, where they were pro-rape chanting minors. And this is what happens in Frostweek. They start coming out with really offside suggestions to see whose eyes light up. So this is what they're looking for. They're looking who is willing to do horrible things, and that is who I believe gets promoted and gets chosen to go into either media, they get chosen to go into politics, they get chosen to go into different structures where they can be promoted because they will keep the darkness going. So out of the University of Toronto, they have the OISE. That was Kathleen Wynne, everybody's batshit crazy lesbian ex-premier. Her partner, her husband, Jane, is connected with mental health. I believe all the mental health facilities in Canada, either Canada or Ontario. I can't remember which one. Ben Levin, the Deputy Minister of Education, who co-created the sex ed, came out of the University of Toronto. You have Dr. James Cantor from CAMH at the University of Toronto, Canadian Association for Mental Health. So these are the people who are supposed to be helping the survivors. So in 2013, he was featured in an article in the Toronto Sun, I've talked about this before, saying that pedophilia is a sexual orientation. He was recently on CNN News with Don Lemon saying we should cut pedophiles and sex offenders some slack, because he knows what's coming, that the politicians and people of prominence are about to be exposed for this, and he understands. And where's the public outcry? Where's the outcry from Don Lemon from CNN? We all know Anderson Cooper's mother, she's a Vanderbilt, and chances are that he was sexually abused, and he's in the picture of the boy, the blonde boy in the empty swimming pool in her house. We know that. There's also a picture of him in a hotel room with a white rabbit behind him, and there's pedophilia logos in the magazines on the table, and he and his gay partner just became fathers. So we have to start putting a little bit more of this together. So these university Frosh Week, you know, they claimed we didn't know the presidents of the universities. We didn't know. How convenient is that we didn't know? That's all they have to say. You have Ewan Cameron, who worked in McGill University. He also was part of, I believe, of the Allen Memorial, the hospital, where he tortured and sexually abused children. He later became the president of the American Psychiatric Association. And if anybody has looked up their positions on this, they think pedophilia should be decriminalized. So this is the system itself. It's not just your average person on the street, and I'm not saying they can't be guilty of this as well, but the whole system is designed to sexually abuse your population. I don't care if you're American, I don't care if you're Canadian, I don't care if you're from the UK, Australia, I don't care where you're from. This is how it is designed. And they do not want the people figuring this out, because in the universities, they're teaching the people who work in the front line that we're sexual beings from birth. Well, then obviously with Kinsey, that means you can sexually abuse them from birth. And I know I talk a lot about morality, and that's a part of this. And I honestly don't give a damn what happened to you as a child. It's either wrong then or it's wrong now. You can't have it both ways. So if you know to hide it then it couldn't have been wrong now or then. So if you know to hide it now, it couldn't have been wrong then. So something's telling you, you still need to hide it because you know it's wrong. And it's no longer just about the pedophiles who work in the system and these high profile pedophiles. It's everybody who works in the system. If you're an enabler, if you're a bystander, if you got promoted to turn a blind eye, Julian Fantino with the OPP. There's so many stories have come out that people know. And these people get murdered, they get their lives destroyed so that certain people can keep fucking children. And I might sound like I'm a little bothered about this right now, and I am, because I understand the harm it causes. I watch people when they tell me their eyes go blank as their souls leave, and then we have to go back and find their souls and bring them back in. I understand the harm this causes. So that was the universities, BC and Halifax. So in 2015, Patrick Brown, who now miraculously is the mayor of Brampton, was promoted to the leader of the Conservative Party and as the premier, because he said he was going to repeal the progressive sex ed that teaches 12-year-olds anal sex, and he lied. He didn't do it. So then sure enough, Doug Ford comes in on the very same platform and says the exact same thing, and lo and behold, Doug Ford lied. He didn't repeal it either. Then Doug Ford comes out with, hang on, let me backtrack. On August 28th, 2000, I think it was 2017 or 2018, Nancy Spies, who is a Ontario Supreme Judge, I believe she's Ontario Supreme Court Judge, she said now that extreme intoxication is now legal grounds for sexual assault. And what does Doug Ford do that fall? Comes out with a buck of beer policy. And you don't think these people want people raping each other fucking indiscriminately. These are your leaders. If you're not disgusted yet by them, what is wrong with you? And I actually told a friend this, and she said, but a university student went through it all and read it all and said no, that it was all okay, that it wasn't promoting sexual violence. And again, it's awfully convenient when you don't have to open your eyes. So Judge Nancy Spies, if you look at her background, I'm going to put a blog out about that. I started working on one a while ago, and I was going to send, what newspaper do you send it to when they're all in on it together? HuffPost, they've got the morality. I can't even describe the morality of the Huffington Post. None of them have any morality. Who would you send a truth article to? So I'm going to post it on my own website and maybe post it on different social media sites so we can start to understand that your people in charge want people debased, they want them demeaned, they want them demoralized, they want them sexually assaulted, they want you to ask for it. So they shame these children into not doing it. And I just saw a newscast, I meant to pull this off, I'm going to do another one on this, that they have a survey now in Australia that they're teaching asking 14-year-olds, why do they feel that they want to be heterosexual? These are your educators, and this is where your tax dollars are going. And if you're not just slightly offended by now, I would be asking yourself why. I can back all of this. I've got all the information. I've actually gone in and looked at the Law Society of Ontario, their curriculum, and they don't talk about sexual violence because it's awfully convenient for the judges not to get it right. So I'm going to do a few more videos on this, on the sex abuse side of it, and share that, because if you can figure out how child sex abuse and sexual assault works in one state, one province, one territory, you can apply this logic and you can look into each one and basically see all the structures are the same. And yes, that's great that they're going to change the, fix the criminality and the lies and the manipulation in the US election. And there's a lot of ties to that. The Dominion machinery supposedly coming back to Canada and Toronto, and there's no surprise there because we have, Toronto's got, it's a sanctuary city, but it's probably one of the most sexually offside cities and sexually abusive cities that I know of in the Western world. So anyways, I thought I'm just gonna share that. I know this was a little intense, but I don't know how else to have this conversation. We have the power to understand the good in our sexual energy, how it's meant to be designed, how we're meant to love each other in a romantic environment, how to experience love just within family, with friends. And this is what this COVID and this shutdown by Doug Ford is all about, being able to interfere with our capacity to love. And I think that is just sick. And I'm gonna keep pointing it out, I guess. I don't know what else to say. So if you found this helpful, by all means, again, hit the subscribe button and the notification button. I'm not sure if I'm gonna put comments on, so it's not that I can't handle it. I don't know if I wanna handle people's views, because I've had people tell me that they're sexual tantra teachers and they're basically having sex with their clients who are sex addicts to heal them. So I've had a lot of really strange people tell me what they think healthy sexuality is. And it's not about that. They can go and do a blog on their own page or do a video on their own page. I don't know that I want that on mine. Anyways, we'll see what I do. So if you have any questions, send me an email, sandy@endinggloballoneliness.com. If you want any of the resources that I've described, give me a shout and let me know, and maybe I can email them to you, or I can get them to you another way. So I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Know that we've got this, but it's not just the elections that have to come down. Everything has to be exposed for the Luciferian agenda to be ended. And we've got this. Okay, thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.